Welcome back to your MATLAB mentor, where MATLAB turns math into motion. Let's go smarter, not harder. Opening up a new episode. Today we'll continuing our talking about several topics. Please make sure that you have been watched all the previous episodes as they are all depend on each other. So I just want to mention that all episode has been prepared and referenced for MATLAB documentation. So please feel free to check them all and the reason behind this. So if you are studying MATLAB in any exams or for practical and you have an exam in MATLAB, usually MATLAB documentation is allowed to use for any help. So when you're actually studying and preparing for MATLAB documentation, this will be powerful for you if you need help at any point during your code or to need like a review for your own functions. That's why it's very important. So let's begin. Today we're gonna talk about extracting information from a table. We're gonna talk about how we can do this. So let's create a variable. Maybe this variable table n. So the variable table n is the variables that I wanna all the data from the table or the file I want to extract from will be n. So it's gonna has all the data from any variable I want to extract from it. So what the function that can do this for me? It's read table, and as I said, read table is, or like MATLAB function in general, is very straightforward. So read table to extract data from a specific table, and I open brackets, then a string, and then I can see MATLAB give me options of the files that are available or capable of extracting data from. So ocean measurements, and if we can see here, this is the folder that the MATLAB code is inside, and also I have the table right there. So make sure if you want to extract any file, you have to put the file in the folder you are making the MATLAB code from. So right now, if I press run, so all the table now got extracted, and table n has everything with every variable right there in front of me. So I extract all the data from this file to MATLAB so I can reuse it if I want. But let's, if you guys realize this all is string or maybe error nan like is not available. So what if I wanna start from here, like when we're starting actually like numeric values, and I wanna skip all of this. This like another function, it's called num header lines. Num header lines is just a function that gives me the ability to skip rows that maybe not necessary, not useful, and I'm gonna start from row number 8 for instance. So like row number 8, so I'm gonna skip for me 5. Let's try 5 first and see what we will get. So I want to skip the first 5 rows. So right now we can choose the size, does it changes? Number of rows, does it change because it cut? So 3 more. Okay, so let's just try now number 8. Also instead of 31 now it become 28. So here we go. So if I skip the 28, now it start, it puts the, instead of variable it put all the labels, and we start from the row that has an actual like numeric values. So this is very important. If your table, you know that there is some data that is unnecessary, or maybe you want to start from a specific point in your data, like num header lines is the function that allows you to do so. So far so good. Okay, let's keep moving. So what if I want to extract like columns? Like what if I want to extract like maybe this column, like depth column, alone without having the entire table for myself? Like I want to create variable that just includes this, all this data, all this column without the entire table. What should I do? So as I said, I have to name the variable first. So, okay, we decided 7, which is depth. So let's call this depth. So in order to extract, I must have the source that the data is inside. The source that the data is inside is table n. Depth is inside table n. So I have to get the source, which is table n. And what I will do, this curly brackets. It's just shift and press on the curly brackets and you're gonna see it. This I would say this is my curly brackets are my cutting tools. Cutting tools because this is how you can use it for extraction. So and then the first space before the comma is for rows. The second space after the comma is for columns. So the semicolon in the first space, this means I want to select all the rows in column in the column number 7, which is this is the column depth is inside. So if we can see he like MATLAB suggested this is rows, so the rows is semicolon, and then the variable I can choose whether I want like depth from here, or I can just choose if I don't have to write it copy paste, I can just choose number 7. So and I would recommend like choosing number 7 because like depth is like small and capital, and if you missed at any letter it's gonna give you an error. So right now if I press run, I have the depth has all the values with all the rows, but it's just the column number 7, which is depth. Okay, let's try this with maybe, let's choose another column, maybe salinity. Okay, so you guys, it's gonna be the same sequence, so please feel free to pause the video and try by your own. So salinity, same sequence. Where is my source, which is table n? My cutting tools, curly brackets, select all rows. Okay, salinity I can whether choose from here or I can just write number 13. Semicolon. I got salinity as well. Okay, now what if I wanted to integrate two columns together? What this means, like, what if maybe column number 9 and 10, both are ODO, which I believe it's dissolved oxygen, but whatever, like one is saturated, one other one is local, so it has a relation to each other. So what if I wanna represent both in just one variable because both are related to each other? What should I do? So I can write ODOs equal same sequence. So I want my resource, my cutting tools, semicolon, and then this was row number 9 and 10. So right now I write all rows. Now I'm in the column space, so from 9 to 10. What does this mean, 9 to 10? So 9 semicolon to 10 means I want 9 and 10. What if it's 9 to 15? So I want all the columns from 9 to 15. So it's gonna give me 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. This is what it means. So if I wanna like just the first and second row, I can write here first and second row. And it's gonna give me just the first two rows. But if I select semicolon, it select all. Same thing in the column. So right now, I do expect this variable to have two columns, not just one. And as we can see in the size, there is two columns. Here we go. So I did extract two columns in just one variable. Okay, let's see this in plot. So figure 1. Let's play with the axis a little bit. So set GCA. Okay, so set GCA, both they always come together. GCA just means get current access, and it's the manager of the access. Why I said this? So, what's the role of a manager? The manager, you have to ask for permission in order to change anything. You have to ask the manager first, okay, and he will allow or give you the permission to change some stuff. So get current access is the access manager. So right now I get the manager and I'm gonna ask him to change some stuff about the access. So we can't change anything now about the access because we do have the manager. I'm just saying this in order for you guys to remember like easily. So I have the current access, so right now I can maybe like change the font size to be like, for example, 20. And yeah, here's the axis means like x-axis and y-axis. And post now the font is increasing, so the font is 20. Okay, what if I wanna make something like y direction and then reverse? Okay, let's see what we got here. Okay, so when I did y direction and then reverse, y-axis supposed to be ascending order, right? So it's supposed to be increasing from like the least and then increasing more ascending, but now it's descending order. So this also a tool you can use for the axis to reverse it, and you don't know what you might represent. Like I know this is not the regular or normal thing, but sometimes if you are representing like weather or maybe finance or anything, it's very powerful tool to have. So and yeah, this is not the normal. So like if we remove this and return back again, we're gonna we're gonna see it's from 1 0.8. If we return the reverse, oh, is this weird? Yeah, here we go. Yeah, so right now it's ascending order 0 0.2 0.4 0.6, okay, to 1, but if we return back it's gonna be descending 1 0.8 0.6 0.4. So it's really like helpful to use and helpful to know as well. So now we reverse all the y-axis. So let's discover new more stuff about axes. So we introduced this concept before, so instead of just put a bracket, I can put these three dots, and now MATLAB expect me that I'm gonna continue but on the other line. So let's try something like maybe box on. Okay, so box on is basically the borders and the edges of your plot. So he gave me borders on the top and on the right, not just x and y axis. And if we here press off, I'm gonna just be use x and y axis. So we want it to be on. This is important for formality when you are representing maybe in front of professor or something like that. This small stuff really matters. Okay. Okay, let's try different thing like something like tech dir, which is direction, same like here y dir is direction, y direction when reverse become descending or ascending, same thing, but tech is just simply what is tech. Tech is this small thing, so out or in, out will be outward your plot, in will be like towards your plot. So if we tried right now to be in, the tag direction will be inside your data, not outside. So far so good. Okay, same concept, 3 dots. And why I write 3 dots? Because like how organized it would be for your code. Like we can see all of them is under each other, so actually you can relate, or it can be like more representable. Let's try now tech length. So we know what's tech, right? Tech length, so how big or small is your tech? So if we write something like 0.01, 0.01, and now let's close the bracket. Yeah, this is not obvious, but let's make it like 0.05. Here we go, so we can see like how the tech now is increasing. Those two numbers is basically the length and the width of your tech. Let's make this out. So here we go. So why you might use it? You might use it if you want to like emphasize on your axis, like you can see here, like it's really toward 0.8, toward 0.6, 0.4, same. So it really like has different usages depend on what you're gonna represent and where or why you are using or coding for the MATLAB. But of course it's very powerful action or powerful tool to use. Okay, so let's now put hold on here, and hold on, we explained this in previous episode. It just means that I wanted two plots to be in the same figure, so that's why it's holding on. So hold on, like when I do write hold on, MATLAB expect me that I'm gonna have two different plots, because two different plots but will be on the same figure or be plotted with each other. So right now let's create our plots. So plot x and y axis, so let's make the x is salinity, y make it depth. But we need to stop here because we make the y values got reversed. So we also need to change the y value or to reverse the y values. So let's put here minus sign. Okay. We explain the line style and the colors, but I can just do something like negative k. The negative sign is my line style, k is my color, so this will be black and it will be solid line and something like line width to be 2. So if I press run, we can see it got reversed. It descending order from 0 to -30 as I did in the axis, and the depth is reversed. So what if I remove the minus sign? I'm gonna see it completely different shape because like it just start from 0 going from there. So that's why it's very important to, if you reverse the axis, to reverse your values as well. Yeah, so yeah, here we go. Okay, so this is the first plot. We write hold on, right? That's why we need another plot to be plotted or represented in the same figure. Same thing, negative depth. But we wanna O, J. Okay, so O, we explained this before, but O is the CEO. CEO, any CEO has employers. So O is one of the simple markers. So the simple markers, it allows me now like to use, instead of font size, I have to use marker size or marker face color, marker edge color, because I have a CEO, so the CEO will bring his employers. So the marker size, if I make it now 10, okay, so the size of the circle will be 10. So right now I have I have the circles, and all the circles are in green. But I don't like green. Let's make it blue, and let's change this to maybe 5. So it decreased more. So when I do have the CEO, I do have employers that all will serve this CEO. Okay, so right now I have two plots. The first plot is the solid lines that do represent my data. The second plot is all the circle, and this represents the collection point. So let's say I have a data and I have a tool that do record some some like measurement from my data. So all those circles, the blue circle might be represented the collection points. So if I have all this line, so during the blue circle is the points or the positions that I my tool got recorded the specific salinity or maybe like pressure from my data. So that's why hold on is important. Plotting two plots together in one figure is super important and depend on different purpose and depend on your professions that you need MATLAB for. Okay, let's now represent like legend. Maybe salinity versus depth line. I'm pretty sure you guys are pretty now familiar with legends, that's why I don't have to stop. Or that's why I might be a little bit faster. Collection points. So I do have the legend, but it cuts my data. So I can do two things in order to fix this. So I can change the location. So I can option location, and you're gonna be north, south, east, west, or best. So best is like the best location in MATLAB perspective. So the MATLAB gonna choose the location for you. Okay. If I press run, okay, MATLAB doesn't change the location, but it still cut my data. So what else I can do? We can realize that the font is very big, right? So if I change the font size, the square will get smaller. So instead of the location, if I make like font size and maybe change it to something like 10, here we go. Now I have the legend, doesn't cut my data, and in a good position that I can see both my data and the two plots that I did represented in figure 1 and also my legend. And we can see the blue circle is the collection point, but the solid line is just salinity versus depth line. So far so good. So now we have learned how we can extract data from any file I do have, how I can extract single columns from a table that I do have. We learned about our axis manager and how I can change several things about the axis, x-axis and y-axis, and of course we explained hold on before, but we didn't explain how I can extract the data from the table and make all of this from the data just that got extracted from my table. So far so good, so let's move on. Okay, today I wanna introduce contourf function. So contourf is one of the most very helpful tools. So why we do care about contourf? Why I choose today just to explain contourf, not any other things. So contourf is represent 3D surfaces. So 3D means three dimensions, so X, Y, and Z, okay, on a 2D plane. But instead of you're just seeing numbers, you would see small regions of colors that show where values are high, low, or in between. Makes it very easy to detect gradients, peaks, valleys, and transitions. And by the way, we're gonna use peaks, our first example today. So, okay, to sum up, it's just better communication tool to represent any data because like human brain in general is understand more from colorful things instead of just like seeing numbers. Like not all the people are good with numbers, but if you are representing to like middle school, high school and showing them like colorful representation, they're gonna like it more and you guys will understand as we go now. Okay, so let's start with first example. Let's create a variable, maybe q equal peaks. As I said, we are using peaks, but what's peaks? So it's a tool for demonstrating graphical function like contourf. So there is always a correlation between the presence of peaks and the contourf. So where it does come from? It came from scaling and translating Gaussian distribution. What's Gaussian distribution? It just mathematical equation is very famous in calculus 3 and differential equation. So moral of the story, Peaks is very mathematical based, but it's very important to like using it with contourf because like contourf is help very powerful in differentiating between the different levels like something like peaks. So right now let's create a contourf plot with q. Let's see what I got here. Okay, I got this beautiful representation, and by the way, peaks like the q here, peaks give me 49 to 49 matrix, and this its default. It's 49 rows, 49 columns, and I can see this here. So for the x-axis, it ranges from 0 to 49, y-axis also from 0 to 49. And I can see the representation, so if we press on the yellow, it's gonna give me the level. It's 8, and then it decreases 7, 5, 2, 1. So I can understand that the very small yellow part is the most or the peak of my data. And like if I go to blue, it starts with negative, -2, -4, -6. So this is what I'm saying. It does represent my data, but instead of color, instead of numbers, he showed me colors. So right now I can see that the yellow color is my highest and my blue color is my least one. So it's very helpful. Like I can imagine I can represent very complicated data to some middle school, maybe like grade 3 or 4 or 5, because they're gonna love seeing colors, but they are not like seeing maybe lines or graphs or direct relation, inverse relations. That's why it's very helpful. Of course, depend on your audience and what you are representing. But even if you are representing a very complex data, it might be as easy as seeing like a beautiful art like this. And in the same time, MATLAB make it super professional and Peaks like came, as I said, from very math base. And they're gonna give you the data in a very simple way. This is why like I loved MATLAB and this is why MATLAB is very helpful. Okay, but let's try to take contourf in a deeper level, in more maybe detailed. As I said, so contourf does represent in 3D dimension on 2D, right? So 3D dimension, x-axis, y-axis, z-axis. So in order to be a 3D. So right now we have to like create x, y, and z before actually like plot contourf. So let's create the x-axis line space -2 pi and 2 pi. Okay, what this means. So you guys, I'm pretty sure by now, if you guys watch the first 5 episodes, we used line space a lot. It just means I'm gonna start from -2 pi and I'm gonna end in 2 pi. And if I press comma here, there is n, which is number of evenly spaced values, which is 100 for default. So if I didn't write any number, it's gonna be 100. So what this means, it means like 100 evenly spaced. So between -2 pi and 2 pi, you're gonna create 100 values between them. This what does it mean. And if I didn't write here any number, the length of x will be 100. So if I press run, now I have x and we can see it's 100 the size. Okay, let's create y. Maybe like from 0, 4, pi. Same concept. Start from 0, ends by 4 pi. And there is 100 evenly spaced between all of them. Between them, 0 and 4 pi. Okay, now let's introduce a new concept. Let's create like a matrix with A and B. Okay, let's introduce mesh grid, 2D and 3D grids. Okay, with maybe X and Y. Before press run, what's mesh grid means? So I'm calling this the marriage tool. Why it says the marriage tool? Because I'm just right now I'm telling MATLAB to let the length of Y be the number of rows of A and length of X be the number of columns of B, even though X in the row position and Y in the column position. But we are using their length to be the other way around for the other variable. So I'm just length of X will be the number of columns of B, and length of Y will be the number of rows of A, even if Y is responsible usually for column and X is usually responsible for rows. But I did exchange, so I did like kind of marriage. I'm just saying marriage in order not for you guys to forget. Okay, so right now if I press run, I do expect A and B to be 100 multiplied by 100, because if we press here length of X, it will be 100, and length of Y, it must be Y, length of Y here, it also 100. So A and B is 100 multiplied by 100. So why I did do this? Because I want my Z to be a little bit trigonometry, so I will use like sine and cosine. So if I want to sine A, maybe plus cosine B, and let this to be my third dimension. So right now all has the same size, 100 multiplied by 100, and the X and Y, they are already 100 length. So my x-axis will be from -2 pi to 2 pi, and y-axis will be from 0 to 4 pi. But z-axis, which is the 3D, it will be sine plus cosine, trigonometry. Okay, right now I have my 3 dimensions. As I said, like contourf has to be 3D, three dimension axis, x and y and z. So contourf So A, here we go, X, Y, and Z. So A, B, my Z small, and there is levels. What's levels mean? I think you do expect numbers, so maybe 10, and let's see what we'll get. Hmm. So level is just, if you guys count the colors here, it's gonna be 10 colors. So 10 is just the levels or the number of categories you want to represent your data from. So if I want my data to be 10 categories, then level 10, because they're gonna give me 10 colors. If I want just 7 colors or level 7, it's gonna just give me 7 categories to differentiate my data from. So it's gonna give me just 7 colors. So I would say levels is just how many levels you want your data to be differentiated among them. So right now, if you guys count, it's gonna be 10 colors. That's why it's mean level. So if you are representing like weather forecast, maybe like finance or anything, and you wanna like specific categories, maybe like if you are representing weather forecast, so there is 7 days, so you want a level 7, but for a month you want a 30, and so on. So that's why contourf is very helpful, and as we are seeing, like it gives us a function or like a representation that everyone does like. And just like quick recap, so the x-axis from negative 2 pi to 2 pi, y-axis from 0 to 4 pi. Okay, what else I want to be more detailed, or let's see different options. So let's try show text, maybe on. Run. Oh, so because when I press run, it gives me everything in my code, but if I press run section, it's gonna just give me this line after this section. So section after 2%, I explained this, but I wanna recap for the people if this is the first episode you would see. So double percent mean like section break. So when I did run section, I'm gonna run those lines only, like now. So as I can see now, show text, it gives me like the line with the value on them. But this looks a little bit messy, right? Maybe because the number of digit of this. So let's make it more representable. There is another function, it's called, I can't choose here from all these options. I also want label, so I can try all the option I do want, but right now, if I want to change the format or the digits, it's label format. And label format, I must have percent and then F and the amount of digit I do want, or like the format of the digit. So right now, instead of I have like several digits, I just want all my data to be in the form of 0.1. So just 2 digits, the first digit and then dot, then the other digit. And I can have like maybe the measuring unit for it, which is just 2 digits. So now it's gonna give me 2 digits and m after. Here we go. So 0.2 m, which is meter. You can like feet, yards. You can change the measuring unit as much as you want, but it always has to be first percent and then f and then the measuring unit. Okay. Then I can like do maybe line width, maybe line style, maybe this line width. You guys already know all of this. So line width is the amount of thickness, line style, how it would be like the style of the line. So if we press run, here we go. It looks more representable. It's not messy. It's very organized, and like it's very straightforward. We can see like all these blue things is the lowest part, but the yellow part and those bright colors are positive. Those like dark colors is negative. And as we can see, it's contourf is very appealing in how you represent it. So the colors will go a long way. So there is another function you can use to change your colors, because contourf it's all about the colors. So there is a color map, and it gives you bunch of options. All these options is nothing but just different colors you can use. Oh, I love these colors. So like color map, if we press sky, it's gonna give you different colors, like looks like a sky. Maybe let's something like cool, maybe hot. So it's very like it's like themes. You are representing themes pretty much as HSV. Okay, but I did like the sky to be honest. So let's write the sky here. Yeah, that's beautiful. Okay, so this is a color map that you can change always the contour. And also, yeah, we are playing right now because we are just like try to discover and using it. But depend on your audience, like whether you are representing in front of professor or middle school. This is how you can choose actually your own colors and how professional and formal you want your data to be. Okay, let's now like create some title, maybe contour in X and Y axis. Let's make like size. Font size is 11 is the default, maybe 15. X label 2 pi's because it was from negative 2 pi to 2 pi. Also like font size 15. I'm pretty sure by this point now, if you guys saw the last episode, you guys are now super familiar with those things, so I don't want to waste your guys' time to try to explain stuff that you guys already know. But from time to time, I always like to recap, because just in case it was your first episode to see. Okay, so if we press run right now, contour X and Y axis 2 pi's, 0 to 4 pi, and this is just like if you are representing in front of someone, he doesn't know what did you write in your code, but like X label now is 2 pi, so okay, he gonna relate that the x-axis is from negative 6 to 6, so from negative 2 pi to 2 pi. It's just representing more your code to the audience, especially if they were like subject matter expert about this data. So so far so good. So we did explain contour, we did introduce it, we did go more in depth and more detailed about it, and right now it's time for our mini assignment. Okay, I want you guys to create a table of daily temperature for 3 different cities, which is city A, B, and C, with different styles, maybe customizing the axes and font size. I don't expect any fancy things, but I expect just implement what we did in our episode, and like the cities is just the idea of how we can like represent or apply what we learned today in your own imagination. So feel free to be creative. It doesn't have to be just 330s. It can be whatever, anything you want, but please make sure that you do the mini assignment, because it's fine that we are following step by step with each other, but the mini assignment is the only way that you are doing this by your own self. So you're making your hands like dirty in the actual situation. You're making it in like yourself in the critical situation without a help. And of course, feel free to have a screenshot, any question in the comment, and I will answer them right away. Okay, so number two, use peak 40 to generate a field contour map and add a color bar and identify the highest, lowest, and in between. Number three, build a global temperature pattern with contour F, and then customize colors, labels, and labels I mean like number of digits, and then remix the formula to see how contour symmetry changes. So I try to do this many assignment beforehand because I'm very big, as I always saying in practice, because I do believe practice makes experiment. Please make sure that while you are watching all the episodes that you were writing and applying everything as we go step by step, because you might find a lot of errors. A lot of stuff might just give you an error once you make like capital instead of small or small instead of capital. All this stuff, there is no way you will discover them until you actually like implementing or coding by yourself. Also, please feel free to do the mini assignment. If you guys have any question, please feel free to put it in the comments. Now we have reached to the end of our episode. Please, as always, make sure that you did right and tried everything by your own. Feel free to do the mini assignment and leave comments for any question. As always, programming is about practice, and practice makes permanent. Thank you all, and see you next episode.